to the Dave Hooker Show on Off the Hook Sports.
What in the world is going on with our rejoin there? Let's try something else. See if we can get a little tease of that one, and then nope, still don't work. I don't know what's going on with that. All right, something to work on later. Here we go, Off the Hook Sports.
The Hook Sports.
That one played halfway through too. Okay, just in case you didn't know, he's Caleb Calhoun. I'm Dave Hooker. The show represented by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorney. It is banksandjones.com. We are live from the Ted Russell Ford Lincoln Studios, where you can find a fantastic vehicle anytime you want to stop by their Parkside or Kingston Pike locations. Just go to tedrussellford.net or tedrusselllincoln.net. Banks & Jones, I can tell you firsthand, Tennessee's trial attorney gets things done in the courtroom. Tennessee's trial attorney, Banks & Jones, go to banksandjones.com. All right, Caleb Calhoun, how are you, sir? How was the weekend? You look fantastic and well-rested.
Thank you. I'm as well-rested as you can be with a newborn, but, with a 7-month-old. But, yes, I think I did get a decent amount of sleep this weekend.
Oh, you look great. All right, so...
Well, that's not new, though. Like, that's just the default position.
Just another day in Caleb's life, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Regulation hottie right here, guys.
Regulation. He is absolutely bringing it. All right, a lot to get to today on the program. And what I'm kind of, you can tell, a little bit goofy and frantic about is we're supposed to have Cooper Mays off the top. And for some reason, the link is not getting.
No, he's here. Cooper's literally.
You have him?
Yeah.
We had so many link issues last week. I didn't know what the hell was going on. Jimmy Himes is like, I sent him his link like 45 minutes before, and he didn't get it. So I was afraid that I messed up with Cooper, too. Coop, how are you?
What's up, guys? How are you?
Look at you bearding it, man.
I know. I'm out here. I don't know where to get a haircut, so I'm just letting it flow.
Now, okay, for those that don't know, where are you?
I'm in Scottsdale, Arizona.
Okay, beautiful place. Lots of money. I can go ahead and tell you that.
Yeah.
I mean,
a lot more than I got, that's for sure.
I know, but it's funny. You go to Scottsboro, or what is it?
Scottsdale.
What?
Scottsdale.
That's right. You go to Scottsdale, and then if you want to see the other side of Phoenix, go to Tempe, and then you'll be like, wow, this is a dump. But where you're staying is really nice. Cooper, we appreciate you coming on. Cooper's appearance has always been brought to you by our good friends at City Heating and Air Conditioning. And even though we're not doing our Vol reports, we want to thank them for bringing a lot of quality content thanks to Cooper and City Heating and Air Conditioning. And I just want to say this publicly. I think I've told you this personally. You have been tremendous to work with. And there have been times as I've grown this business that you have said like incredibly wise things. Like I would think you're an 85-year-old man, but you've been fantastic for my business and my soul. I appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate y'all as well.
All right, let's go ahead and get rolling because we got a couple of topics we're going to get to with Cooper. And one of those is who's Tennessee's next leaders? They've lost a lot of leaders. Cooper's one of them. Also, we'll talk about rebuilding the offensive line with Coop. And then we'll talk about Tennessee's newest transfer, running back Star Thomas. Good name to stay in Tennessee sports history. Person I spoke to wrote about over the weekend, said Tennessee's much more focused on keeping their guys than getting other guys. So the transfer portal blues probably are not as nasty as you might think. But Tennessee does pick up one, and Star, we'll get to him. Tennessee falls to Vanderbilt. Lady Vols fall to Vanderbilt. So 2 losses on the hardwood. Stat of the day as well. And the lack of college football playoff buzz. Now, I don't want to do this topic with you necessarily, Cooper, because I know you're kind of a keep your head down and get it going. But we were discussing the national championship game, and it's because there's not an SEC team in it. The discussion started, have they played it yet? People, I don't know. There just doesn't seem to be the buzz around the game that there was around the first round. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think there's probably a lot of different factors, kind of how it's bleeding into the NFL playoff as well. And then you kind of add in that there's just so many games. I don't really know. There was something that the 4-team playoff, yeah, some teams got left out. And, one of my teams got left out of it. And that was upsetting. But at the same time, when there's only 4 games, it kind of makes stuff the margins are a little bit tighter, and I think it makes everything a little bit more exciting. Plus, it's the only thing going on. But when you add in all the NFL playoffs, and then there's 8 games, and I think it kind of, I don't know. It's a hard topic to get into.
Another hard topic is going to be determining who Tennessee's next leaders are, because you're now a former Vol, and it always sounds weird to say that, but you were one of the leaders, and I'm not asking you to confirm and pat yourself on the back, but it's a fact. You're one of the best leaders on the team. You told me about how Dylan Sampson was an incredible leader. You told me about how Brew McCoy was an incredible leader. So if you're a Tennessee fan, how concerned are you about losing those 3 leaders?
I'm not really too concerned about it, because everybody's going to have an opportunity to step up. There was a time in my life where I wasn't a leader as well, and and I had Jerome in the room, or Cade in the room, and and then I just had to step up, losing those guys. So there's always going to be naturally a couple top dogs that always kind of rise to the top and find that footing at that top spot. And I'm sure you'll see a lot of guys do that. I think Miles Kitselman coming back for another year is big as well. I think him as an older guy, I think that'll be really good for Tennessee.
Oh, Cooper, I had some other questions related to leadership. I want to build on that. Do you think Miles Kitselman, did he strike you as a guy that can really kind of take the reins and really take over the offense as a leader?
For sure. I mean, it's definitely kind of a different job as a tight end. You don't really see too many. I kind of think we talked about Dylan Sampson kind of being special for him being a running back as a leader, but Kitselman's a hard-nosed guy that plays insanely hard and practices the right way, works out the right way, and isn't scared of being vocal. And also, he's just super old for this team. I don't really know the specifics, but it's probably a younger team in the grand scheme of things. And Miles is an older guy, and he kind of hits all the nails on the head when it comes to leadership.
So let me ask the elephant in the room question, which is obviously Nico Iamaleava. I know it was his first year starting this year, so I wouldn't have expected him to be the main leader. But some of the defenses, Cooper, I hear of Nico a lot is he does everything he's told. He's a guy who does what he's supposed to do and all of that. The reason that the only red flag that comes to me is that with that is I kind of expect a quarterback to not just do what he's told, but to really take things, kind of seize a team by its throat, kind of like what you've told me in the past, and Hooker did a lot of times in 2022, 2021. Can Nico transition into that type of quarterback that's like going to start demanding things from everybody else?
Yeah, no doubt. And I think kind of when you talk about it, I mean, you don't really, it's hard because you don't really like demand things. I think you naturally demand them. Like Hendon didn't ever just come up and like get in anybody's face and say, you need to do this or you need to do that. I think Hendon kind of won over the team by being that guy that would do everything himself too. I know lead by example is kind of like an overused term, and kind of that just says that you don't vocally lead as well. But there's something to be said about a guy that has the same energy as all his other teammates and will get down in the trenches with his guys. And I think that's what Hendon did really well. And I also saw a snapshot of Hendon. Hendon was like 24, 25 years old when I met him. So, he was way further along in his life and his career than Nico was. Nico's just getting his feet wet in his football career. I mean, back at, 10, 15 years ago, we wouldn't even expect a freshman to play, So for a guy like him to come in and start every game, and, the expectations put on him just off the get-go is very hard to live up to. So I'm sure he'll take huge steps in his career here at Tennessee and, over the next few years. But yeah, I definitely expect him to keep getting better and better. And that'll come with age and confidence for sure.
Let me ask you this, Coop. Have you been on a team going way back to high school or whatever, where the quarterback wasn't a leader, and it's kind of a position that demands some leadership, doesn't it? I mean, you have to step up and be at least somewhat of a leader if you play quarterback, or can you be that guy in the background?
Yeah, no, I believe that like a quarterback is kind of by default going to be your leader, Like, I mean, obviously you had guys like me and Dylan that were older, and I was like a fifth year guy who had been a leader for some time, and so that kind of took a lot of pressure off of Nico, because I was good with Nico. Like we told him early on, like me and Brew were like, hey, if you're good, man. Like whatever you need done, whatever you feel like you want, like me and guys like Brew and Omari and Dylan, like don't feel like you got to take this all on your shoulders. You know what I'm saying? Like, because as a quarterback, I think I mean, I've never played quarterback, so I'm kind of just talking right now, but like
I bet you could, though. You're a great athlete.
I don't know, man. I don't know about that. I don't know about throwing, but it's a lot to take on, especially as an 18, 19-year-old kid. Like, you're the face of the organization. You're the head of the offense and the whole team. So we try to take some stress off of him and told him, just look, whatever you need, whatever you want to talk about, like whatever you got, like we're backing you up. Like we're like you can be in the driver's seat and we can be the engine for you. You know what I'm saying? Like we can, like, let's get this done together. Whatever we're doing, like we've got your back 110%. So just having guys like that around you, I feel like would give you confidence and stuff. And now that he's getting older and more games under his belt, there's nothing that's going to happen but him being better and better as a leader.
So, Cooper, how difficult is that transition where you were an underclassman, guys leave, and then you kind of realize like you kind of have to take that next step to be the new vocal leader when people don't even know who it's going to be in spring ball? Does it just naturally come, or like for you as a leader, did you start to think, I have to do this now because Cade Mays is gone, or Jerome Carvin, like you said, Trey Smith, those guys were gone, and so you realized you had to step up?
I think it's something that you kind of plant the seeds of long before you actually become the leader. Personally, like me, I knew my job kind of inside and out by my sophomore year, and I worked just as hard as anybody else, if not more, in my opinion. And I think that kind of sowed the seeds of becoming a leader. And then it does hit you, though. When all the real leaders in your room leave, deep down, or I did, deep down, I knew I had to take a step and make that next step up into being the leader. So it's definitely hard, though. Like, it's not an easy thing. Like we always talk about how you're just kind of born a leader or whatever. That's not really true. Like you really have to work at it. Like nobody's comfortable leading 125 guys. Like that's a hard step to take as a 21-year-old kid.
Yeah, probably just leading Caleb. I mean, he's a handful.
Okay.
I don't know what he's doing half the time. I'm kidding. Caleb's a saint and an incredible worker. Did you see Nico improve as a leader throughout the season?
Yeah, no doubt. Okay. I mean, I think he was fine. I don't think that's really a question. It wasn't for me, at least. I never really thought of it that way. If that's a question that our people are thinking, like Nico's going to be just fine. Like he's a young kid. Like nobody's comfortable being a leader at 19 years old. It's just not, like, that's a lot of stuff to put on somebody's shoulders at the age of 18, 19. So he's just going to get older and more confident in himself, figure himself out more. And, that'll lead to him leading other people. Because, I mean, personally, like, I don't know how y'all feel about it, but like I have real trouble, like, giving people advice and talking to people about advice if I haven't figured it out myself. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah,
like, just figuring himself out more as a human and as a man, like becoming a man and all that involved, and it'll all cultivate him being better as that.
Was he also here's what I heard, and when I reported this, I felt certain that everybody thought it was you, but it wasn't you. I was told early in the season, you don't have to confirm it, that he seemed a little unsure if he was making play calls in practice. If that's the case, and you can say that's not if you'd like, but did he improve on that? Did that confidence build within? Because you can't lead without confidence.
Yeah, no, I didn't. I never ran into that. I'd be interested to see who said that. You can probably tell me off air, but
I will do that.
Yeah, I never had that. I never had that impression. That was never my thought.
Gotcha. All right. Well, Did you see him? I'm curious what you saw out of Nico. We're talking about him and maybe being a leader. And again, the show represented by Bankston Jones, Tennessee's trial attorney, BankstonJones.com, as we're live from the Ted Russell Ford Lincoln studio. So let me ask you this, Coop. In the tough times, which is, obviously the Arkansas game, the one thing I was told about Nico as a leader is that he was PO'd, you lost, and then he was just extra motivated to go out there and work and drive, but it didn't get him down psychologically. That's what I was told. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think that's very fair. I think that's kind of how, that wasn't just Nico, that was everybody. I think everybody was mad about that loss, and you can't let it derail you, but yeah, everybody was upset about that for sure.
Which loss hurt more, South Carolina or Arkansas? Don't hate me for asking this question, because you could easily beat me up.
Probably South Carolina, I'd say. Arkansas didn't really derail our season. It was a bad look. It was a bad look in the moment. It was an upset. But it didn't stop us from putting ourselves in a position to go win it all. But that South Carolina loss for sure. And plus, Hendon got hurt during that game, so it kind of changed the complexion of everything in that game was just so melancholy.
Now, I still think there's a very good chance you guys come back and win that game if Hendon doesn't get hurt. What do you think of that notion now that your college career's over?
Yeah, definitely could have had a chance. I'd have to go back and watch the game. It's just been so long since I even know what the score was when Hendon got hurt. But I'd never count a team out that has Hendon Hooker on the field. I promise you that.
All right, if I can remind everybody real quick, hit the like and subscribe button. We want to go ahead, especially that like button. If you got any comments for Cooper, put them in there. We're going to address the offensive line here momentarily. And I do want to remind everyone that portions of the program are brought to you by our friends at the UPS store Hardin Valley, helping individuals and small businesses, wide range of products and services, locally owned and operated. The link is right down below. Caleb?
Yeah, so Cooper, I want to transition to the offensive line because obviously there are some departures happening. John Campbell Jr. is gone. Most notably, you're gone. And Javonte Spraggins is gone. I want to start with your position because I think we saw a couple years ago that this team has not been equipped to be without you, honestly, for the past 3.5, 4 years. Where do you make of the development behind you at center to this point, specifically William Satterwhite?
I think I'm very confident in Sat. He's a young guy that plays football the right way. Kind of reminds me of me a little bit. Kind of more on the not a huge guy, more on the smaller side, and plays with good leverage, good hands, athleticism, and plays really aggressive. So I see a lot of myself in him, and I worked with him a lot and tried to pour into him as much as I could while I was there, and I'm really excited to see how he does. I'm really comfortable leaving with him there.
Yeah, you told me that midway through the season, and just for those that don't know, basically Cooper, every player he's told me this guy's going to be really good. He said it about Dylan Sampson way back early in his maybe sophomore year. He said the same thing about Brew McCoy. He's got that dog in him. That's not the phrase he used. I just like sounding hip. But you've been spot on. So who else on the offensive line do you really like? I want to ask you about some specific guys, but I'm just going to ask an opening question. You take it where you want. Well, I think
New guys. There's some are transfers that are expected to contribute heavily, so I don't know anything about them. Like Wendell Moe, is that his name?
Yes.
Wendell. I've never watched his film. David Sanders, as a recruit, seeing him come in and do one-on-ones and kind of seeing what he's done over there at the Polynesian Bowl. I know that's not SEC competition, but seeing how his body moves at his size and the bend and his hips and where his how he distributes his weight on his feet, he's going to be really good. And then really I'd love to talk about Lance Hurd a little bit. I think Lance Hurd is going to be a really, really, really great player for Tennessee. He battled some injuries this year and never complained once about it and never said anything about it. well, I think he was getting a little bit of unfair criticism. Like, really, truly, like he's a really special player. Like, I think he'll be really good for us this year. And I don't know, I don't think he got a lot of fair criticism.
No, you're right. People just forgot all about big guys with ankle sprains, man. That's a big deal.
Huge deal. I mean, I'd implore anybody to try to, play football on sprained ankles, much less play offensive line.
So Cooper, what about on the interior? You talked about Wendell Moe. I think Andre Carrick is trying to return for another year. Is there some depth at the guard spots behind those guys some players you think could step up?
Yeah, Sham Umarov, he's a guy that I think could play and contribute this year. I think if Andre comes back, I think that'd be huge for us. I don't know kind of how that's going. I haven't really been updated on that, but if Andre could come back, like, I think Andre's a stud. Personally, I love playing next to him. Right guard, who we got? I'm trying to think back now.
Who would they play? I'm not sure they completely know right at this point. Do they?
I don't really know. I've been gone for like a month and a half now. So that feels like an eternity.
Yeah, played half a basketball season since you've been gone.
I know, right? Yeah. So I've been locked in out here. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I think with the portal, I think they kind of got their guy. I think he's kind of expected to come in and contribute. I'm not sure.
Caleb, you got another offensive line question?
Yeah, I actually have we talked about this.
I got to interrupt real quick, though, because we got a poll question up. It is National Cheese Day. So, Cooper, what is your favorite cheese?
Oh, man. Probably cheddar. Gotta go.
Cheddar's leading. Cheddar's leading on our poll question. You can vote now. Cheddar.
Go with cheddar.
No, American is just behind at 31%. Cheddar at 46%. Pepper Jack is my choice at 15%.
Me and Dave, eye to eye.
Oh, yeah. All right.
Pepper Jack is the best.
Yeah, Pepper Jack is a little spicy. Do you like spicy?
Nah, not much, man. Not much on it. I'm a bland kind of guy.
There you go. All right.
Cooper, I wanted to ask you kind of a generic question because something I've tried to figure out. We had Jimmy Hyams on last week, and we were kind of having revealing moments about PFF grades because we started to learn that like PFF numbers don't seem to jive with what we're seeing on the field, and I've learned that's no more obvious than at the interior of the offensive line. Because I remember a couple of years ago, Jerome Carvin was consistently having PFF grades in the 50s, and I'm like, that makes no sense. Every time I'm watching, he's blocking well. Javonte Spraggins' season PFF grade this year was like at 59, and I'm like, that still doesn't make sense. I've watched him block with my eyes. Why do they so miscalculate interior offensive lineman grades?
I would say it's probably because it would be like me going to a welding competition and judging welds.
Yep.
As not a welder.
Yes. Cooper, I'll tell you a funny story. And I don't know that I've told Caleb this. Pro Football Focus asked me if I want to evaluate game film. I'm not kidding. And I just told him straight up, I said, I'm not qualified to do that. So basically, the way I understand their setup, and I'm not knocking them, they built a brand out of nothing, but the best guys do the NFL, and then everybody else just kind of filters down. So who's doing UTEP or Kent State? Probably a 12-year-old.
Well, think about it. Like, even if you do know football, like, that was probably a little bit egregious. Maybe it's not as bad as me going to a welding competition. But, like, imagine somebody not being in the room, not knowing what you're trying to accomplish with your play. How can you accurately grade somebody if you don't know what they're trying to accomplish?
Yep. I agree.
Because like I can go in. I know football pretty well, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. I can't go into the Carolina Panthers and grade my brother's film because I don't know what they're calling up. You know what I'm saying? It just doesn't make any. I'm not qualified because I don't know what they're trying to accomplish. How can you grade somebody if you don't know what they're trying to accomplish?
And that's particularly true with y'all's position, right? Because oftentimes offensive linemen, like, it's so collective what they're asked to do that it's almost impossible to know, right?
That would be correct.
By the way, Dylan says, I'm a welder. I can help you out, Coop. And we're working on the echo. Sorry about that. And then someone else had a great comment. Their favorite cheese is Travis Henry. That was a pretty good line. That was his nickname. Am I the only one that's
Okay.
No, I knew that was his nickname.
Okay, well, I just felt like I was 80 years old. Go ahead, Caleb.
It's fine. So Cooper, do you think I want to ask, so do you think next year this will finally happen? Because I do want to ask you one question that I don't know how uncomfortable this is, but Josh Heupel in 4 years at Tennessee now, there hasn't been a consistent starter on the line for you guys that was signed by Josh Heupel out of high school. Obviously, you were signed before that, and then there were transfer guys. Do you think 2025 will be the first year where finally guys that he signed out of high school will become regular starters on the line?
Yeah, I think it's a good possibility. I think it's also hard with the current climate of today's college football, the landscape. Like, it's easier to just go get a guy out of the portal that has proven himself and get him in there and be able to plug him in. So I think the portal's kind of watered that down a little bit as far as getting guys out of high school. I also, I was in my class, I think me and Spraggs, we signed 4 or 5 O linemen. Like, me and Spraggs are the only ones that ended up playing consistently and stayed with the program. So, like, it's not very uncommon to have guys that don't hit. So, yeah, I would say so. But I think also the portal has kind of changed the way you recruit and the way you find your starters.
Interesting. Of all the guys that you just mentioned, who has the highest upside? I think you're going to say Hurd, but I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, I'd say Hurd and David Sanders for sure.
Oh, so you?
I mean, those guys just, yeah, like those guys just like have so much God-given ability. Like me, I don't have like if you would have asked me last year like who had the most potential on our line, like I definitely would not have said me. Like, just because of like God-given ability and I get the job done, but it's probably not as pretty, and I probably don't look as good in some compression shorts as most guys on our O-line. So, but when you got a guy like, I mean, Lance Hurd's a good 6'6" and has like 37-inch arms, like that's like $2 million an arm. You know what I'm saying? Like that's like God doesn't make many people like that. So seeing that, and then with David Sanders being like a legit 6'7" that can bend and actually flow through his hips and get in a position of power and be bendy and athletic at that size, like that's worth a lot of money as well, just right off the rip. Like you can see guys that even if they don't play football very well, they're still a very high potential guy that'll get looked at better because of it.
Okay, let me ask you the flip side of it. Who has the highest floor? If we talked about the highest ceiling, the highest floor would be the guy that you feel most confident is going to be good, but maybe not elite, but you feel confident he's going to be good.
Probably Lance. He's already showed it. So
yeah,
I mean that's an easy question, but
he probably has the highest ceiling and the highest floor, right?
Yeah, probably.
Okay,
that's probably fair.
Let's rewind that tape. That was a bad question. Coop, to tell me what your day is going to be like today. Are you sprinting? Are you learning the 40? Are you doing a vertical jump? Are you doing that stupid L drill cone thing that they do?
Today we're about to go hit legs whenever I get off here.
So you're just lifting basically now?
No, we lift and run every day. So 6 out of 7 days a week. So I'm about to go hit legs, and then at 1:30 we'll do a speed workout. I'm not really sure what we'll be running.
Okay, so at your average day, now that you're training, and you're training for the combine, but what's so funny is a lot of the things you're learning to do in the combine will never help you as a football player. But I mean, it's true. I mean, it's bizarre what they make you do. But as far as your average day, what does it look like?
Right about now, I'm probably heading over to the facility, eat a kind of a whole breakfast, big breakfast, some eggs, turkey bacon, some potatoes, some like chopped up potatoes, oatmeal with a little bit of brown sugar on top, some cup of fruit, a little assortment of fruit, and then I go in there and work out at 9:30, and then then we just kind of get stuck in this weird limbo where you kind of don't really want to go home, but kind of want to go home. And then you end up going home for like 45 minutes, and then I go back and we run for about an hour, and then I cold tub, and then I just lay in my bed all day till the next day.
Yeah, I've talked to players that are in your position that they make you go home and tell you to take a nap, try to get as much rest in. So it's a lot more than just going out there and playing football. Coop, we appreciate you immensely. We're rooting for you. Now, you're going to get asked this by other people, and I think I know your answer, but if you could get drafted by any one team, what would it be?
Man, I don't really.
I know. 25 years in this business, and no one has answered that question for me.
Yeah, I don't really. I've told you already, anywhere where the taxes are low, man, I'm good with it.
Cooper is so smart. I mean, Cooper is just all right. So I'm hoping for the Cowboys because I'm going to try to, get some tickets from you. But have a blessed day, sir. You have meant a ton to Off the Hook Sports, and I'm a monster fan, as you know. And tell your mom I said hello.
No doubt. I appreciate y'all. I'll talk to you later.
Well, it's good people.
Have a good one, Cooper.
Simply good people. I had a chance to visit with his mom about a couple of different things we might work on together. And it just, and I've known his dad for 25 years, but nobody has ever answered that question. You know that, Caleb? In 25 years, after every pro day that I've covered, which is probably 15, fortunately, I was out of town for some of them because they are boring. But every single time I've asked somebody, who do you want to draft you? They always say, I'm not sure. Now, I think Cooper was legitimately not sure. He just wanted to go where there wasn't taxes. But I think some players were afraid to say, like the Dallas Cowboys, and then the Redskins would hate you and not draft you as high. There's this, I think agents tell guys not to pick a team.
Yeah, I mean, you shouldn't. Would you that would hurt your draft value to a certain degree. You don't want to say where you want to go. Like you have to be the one to, like, when you get drafted, be like, I'm so thrilled to be here. I love this place. My favorite is when this happened one time in the NBA with the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies actually drafted Kevin Love and then traded him for OJ Mayo. So they draft Kevin Love and it's like, I'm so thrilled to be in Memphis. I love being here in Memphis. And then they go and trade him. And he goes to Minnesota. Then he's got to go all again. I'm so thrilled to be in Minnesota. I love Minnesota. It's like, okay, all right. It's like being a rock band and accidentally shouting out the wrong city in a concert.
Good stuff. Go ahead and click like and subscribe. Be a part of the program each and every day. And we've got some special things going on. Might even have a star in Omari before long. Hint, hint. The show represented by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorney, banksandjones.com. Other lawyers say they'll go to trial. They won't. They'll settle and settle for less. And I got to tell you about our studio sponsor, Ted Russell Ford Lincoln. My son's coming in town today from UMass. And you know what we're going to do? We're going to look at Broncos. And I'm going to get his input because I like them all. Everyone I see, I love them. So I've got to decide on one. The show represented by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorney, banksandjones.com, as we broadcast live from the Ted Russell Ford Lincoln studios. Also reminding you the portions of the program brought to you by Sports Treasures. Over 5 million sports treasures, so much more. Follow on Facebook, Best Sports Memorabilia, daily updates. It's right there. Facebook.com. Go to Sports Treasures TN. That's Sports Treasures TN. All right, coming up, we're going to keep it rolling, and we're going to get into Tennessee basketball here in just a second. So hang tight. We've got a lot to get to, and why no one seems to care about the college football playoff championship game. When is that again?
Tonight.
Yeah, I know. It just, we had a conversation on our message board where people were asking, has it been played? Did you see that Friday?
Yeah, I saw that on Friday. It's like, it's insane, but I will use this to do a victory lap because that's what I do. I never brag. I never brag about me being right.
You brag more than anybody I know. You're worse.
Did you say I brag about being right all the time? Because
actually,
you acknowledge I'm right all the time.
No. You're Donald Trump, so you are. The show represented by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorney, banksandjones.com. We're playing the commercials from your end now that we switched everything up.
Yep, 2 minutes. We will be right back. Thanks.
Hang tight as we're live from the Ted Russell Ford Lincoln Studios.
Why Banks & Jones? Well, it's because they're Tennessee's trial attorney. You can play to win with Banks & Jones because they'll go to trial. You've heard of other lawyers. They say they'll go to trial and fight for you. They won't. They just want to settle. That's the easiest way out. Well, that's not Banks & Jones, led by T. Scott Jones. They won't settle. They'll go to trial for you. Tennessee's trial attorney. They play to win. Truly, Tennessee's trial attorney when it comes to criminal defense or personal injury. Why settle? It's Banks & Jones. T. Scott Jones. BanksandJones.com. Dave Hooker here for Dynasty Pools and Spas. Your home for the best spas and everything you need to jump right in. Relaxing? Therapeutic? Absolutely. But what sets Dynasty Pools and Spas apart from others is that you get everything with any spa purchase. You get the cover lift, the steps, delivery, and chemicals. When Dynasty Pools and Spas delivers your spa from their Athens location within 125 miles, you'll get your own personal hydrotherapy spa. Mention me, Dave Hooker, or Off the Hook Sports, and get $500 off your top quality new spa. Dynasty Pools and Spas, just off the Athens exit. Drop in and receive a free gift from Off the Hook Sports, Dynasty Pools and Spas. Mention Off the Hook Sports for a drop-in prize and that $500 discount, Dynasty Pools and Spas. To check out some of the Dynasty Spa models and to buy spa chemicals, go to dynastypoolsandspas.com. Dynasty Pools and Spas.
Now in its 45th year, the second and third generations continue Joe Newbert's commitment.
His vision of what this business needed to be, we still try to live up to that.
Joe Newbert Collision Center.
With our brand new location on Emory Road, Eye Care Optical is bringing East Tennessee's best eye care to your neighborhood. Doctors Johnston and Combs offer unmatched expertise and care without a trip to Knoxville. Eye Care Optical, now in Powell.
It was a huge waste of time, like bringing a married guy to Vegas.
Then there's this guy, the Dave Hooker Show with Caleb Calhoun. Represented by T. Scott Jones, BanksandJones.com, Tennessee's trial attorney. From the Ted Russell Ford Lincoln Studio, East Tennessee's #1 volume and customer service dealer, Ted Russell Ford and TedRussellLincoln.com. Now to the Dave Hooker Show on Off the Hook Sports.
Welcome back to the program. This day in Tennessee sports history coming up in just a matter of moments. Kylie on the message board saying my hair looks fantastic. Thank you. I appreciate that. With Caleb Calhoun, I'm Dave Hooker, the show represented by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorney, BanksandJones.com, as we broadcast live from the Ted Russell Ford Lincoln Studios. Sometimes my hair just falls into place and looks good, Caleb.
Yeah, I'm sure. By the way,
you gotta admit, for 50, this ain't bad.
No, it's not. It's not. It's pretty good.
Did I mention to you one time that my testosterone is 1250?
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. It's a 19-year-old, basically. Lift heavy weights, kids.
It's probably better than Mark Andrews' testosterone right now.
All right. This day.
Did you see that yesterday? That was that's one of the worst tight end games I've ever seen. Sorry.
This day in Tennessee sports history. Caleb, what do we got?
I got a funny one for this day because I randomly went to Twitter and just scoured. And on this day, 15 years ago, Dave, a mini Tennessee football scandal broke. Twitter.
Wait, 15 years ago?
Yes.
And I'm sorry, guys. I had the flu last week. I fought through it, but I've got my voice is, I don't want to lose my voice. So if you hear it crack, I'm sorry. I'm not going through puberty again, but I've got enough testosterone too. All right, go ahead. What happened 15? That would be, let me see if I can figure it out. 15 years ago?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's going back. That would be 2000, January of 2000.
Do you not know math? That would be 25 years ago.
Oh, sorry. 2010. Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah. Once it went to the twos, I get a little confused. All right. What happened in 2010 in January? On January 20th, it wouldn't be a bowl game. I think it's going to be basketball.
No, it's football.
Okay, I'm stumped. What do
You're
you got?
never going to get it.
Brian Darden committed to Tennessee.
That would have been in 95. Yeah, 30 years ago. Twitter got a buzz. It was the early days of Twitter, and Twitter got a buzz because recently Tennessee hired head coach Derek Dooley had a video surface of him slapping a Louisiana Tech football player on a helmet when he was coaching there. And half of all Twitter was wondering if they should keep Derek Dooley around during that time period. I want to show you the video, Dave. You tell me, did Derek Dooley cross the line when he was coaching at Louisiana Tech and he made this?
Wait, you've got the video ready?
Oh, I got the video ready. Yeah.
Man, you're killing it. You're killing it. All right, let me see it.
All right, this was Derek Dooley. This was what started circulating on Twitter in 2010 of a move he did in 2008. Okay. And people were wondering if Derek Dooley is an abusive coach because check him out right here. He's talking to the lineman right there. Did you see that?
No, I didn't. Play it again.
All right. Look at number 62. Look at his head right here.
Slap, yeah. No, I will. No, you don't do that. Like, okay. And that reminds me of Bobby Knight. Now, the guy had a helmet on, obviously, but you remember Bobby Knight just kind of pecked somebody.
Hit a player in the chin. Yeah, he was like, look at me. Yeah.
Look at that. And I'm not going to say who it was, but it was a former Tennessee quarterback. And he's a little bit older, and he thought that that was just fine, what Bobby Knight did. And he said, all he did is did this, and this former Tennessee quarterback did it to me. And I can go ahead and tell you that even though I knew that he was just trying to make a point and he wasn't mad at all, my first instinct was to hit him. Because you don't want somebody to touch your face. That's not cool.
No, you don't. You don't. I totally agree. It's the same with, oh yeah, Dylan has a point. A few short years later, Jimmy Pruitt dog cussed and hit JG. Jimmy Pruitt was very mad at Jared Garantano going rogue on a play and was screaming at him, sent him to the bench, and then grabbed his face mask. Didn't grab his face mask to talk to him, just grabbed his face mask. Yeah. And I'm like,
I think part of the frustration with Jeremy Pruitt is he was realizing day by day that he wasn't a very intelligent man.
He was.
I mean,
no, that play though, in his defense, so he was mad because the play they had called would have been a touchdown. Jared Garantano went rogue and did a sneak himself when he was told to hand it off, and it was a clear touchdown. By the way, since it's a super chat, I do want to address it.
What does Paris Hilton think of my testosterone?
Crawdad Watson is asking.
I know, Crawdad, I don't have the drop anymore because I had to buy a new piece of equipment. I'm shifting all this stuff over, and I'm still figuring out this new board. But I would have a drop of Paris Hilton saying, "That's hot." How old is she nowadays?
I think she's 40, 42 maybe. 44, 43.
She ages like left out milk. The show represented by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorney, banksandjones.com. Hit that like and subscribe button. Go ahead and throw some comments in there if you would like. Do you think that Derek Dooley, that little slap we just saw, was a big deal or not? I think as a population, we've gotten a little bit soft, Caleb. I do. But I'm going to say because you got a helmet on, that was it was really close. Crossed the line. I think it crossed the line. You?
I think it crossed the line, and I think we learned more about Derek Dooley when he was at Tennessee, that he would lose it on his players a lot of times when he would get frustrated. And, I mean, I'm sure you know that. I mean, there was a play where, like, Malik Jackson missed a practice one day because he was sick. I don't know if you know this story. Malik Jackson missed a practice, and Derek Dooley, the media asked why he missed a practice, and he said, because his tummy hurt. You can tell his mama I said that.
Ouch.
Yeah. So that was when things were like kind of derailing. He was losing it to a certain degree.
Yeah, he's just it's an odd bird, bad hire, just horrible hire. On the front end, which did you think before you got to know them? Which did you think was the worst hire? Butch, Dooley, Pruitt, out of those three.
On the front end,
day of,
I thought Dooley was the worst hire. Now, I rooted for Dooley, and I thought he had a short stick, but Dooley had a losing record at Louisiana Tech and had never been a coordinator. And you did that. And then, everybody thought he killed it in the press conference. Remember that introductory press conference that you were in? That it was like, oh, he looked like an SEC coach. He looked like a CEO to me who didn't know ball. honestly, because like he would be asked all these questions like, what's your defensive philosophy? He's like, well, there's a lot of things you can do. 3-4-4-3. You got to do it all. I'm like, which is code for I don't have a defensive philosophy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, and he would answer that. Remember, you guys would try to nail him down on X's and O's, and he'd be like, you got to be good at everything. I'm like, so you have no X's and O's philosophy whatsoever as a coach.
Well, let's go ahead and put that poll question up. Just day of the press conference, who did you have the most confidence in?
The least confidence in, I thought. How about this?
You can stack it however you want to.
Which hire did you think was the worst on its day of? The day it happened?
You know, do you want to put Kiffin in there too? Because Kiffin did this thing. You know, he danced the whole time. I've never seen a man more uncomfortable.
Yeah, but Kiffin seemed very confident in what he was trying to run. I remember that. He was asked, like, are you going to have a coordinator? He's like, it's only if they're running my style of offense. And then he would be very open, like, this is what I want to run. Told players that they weren't a fit because of what he wanted to do. And then later in that year, Dave, and I'll never forget this, Tennessee's going to play Alabama. Tennessee's just lost to Florida. Florida's number one. It's the Tebow years. They're defending national champs. Everybody thinks they're the best team. Kiffin, the week of the Alabama press conference goes, you know, a lot of respect to Florida, but Alabama's the model for what we want our program to be in the future, you know, and it was kind of a really weird thing to say, and people thought it was an unfair shot at Florida. But I gathered, I'm like, he whatever you thought about Lane Kiffin, you could tell he had an exact blueprint for where he wanted his program to go, didn't he? And
Agreed.
And by the way, he ended up being right because, as we all saw in the SEC title game that year, Alabama was clearly ascendant, and Florida, he knew from the inside, was about to collapse as a program.
Yep. Well, it's those esophageal spasms that Urban Meyer had. I did have those one time, and I thought that maybe it was a heart attack, to be real honest with you. I have had them. It was in my mid-30s. And like air gets trapped here, and it feels like it can even cause pain in your left arm. So I'm like, oh, Lord, I'm having a heart attack. But you know what I did? I went home, and it went away, and I didn't quit my job because Nick Saban was absolutely beating my rear. It is time to talk a little bit of high school football recruiting, transfer recruiting, all of the above, because I got something for you after talking to a source over the weekend. It is time for Bank on It, brought to you by Commercial Bank. And we'll tell you more about Commercial Bank here in just a second. Tennessee's lack of success, per a very good source, in the transfer portal is somewhat by design. Now, I'm not the guy that gets up here. I think my career speaks to that. I don't defend people blindly just because they're wearing orange. Caleb, for new listeners, can you let them know that? I'm probably the opposite.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So I don't think I was being fed a line. I really don't. But the deal was, here's what I was told. It was 3/4 of the efforts. Now, the person didn't say money. It didn't get into money because I don't think any one person other than maybe Josh Heupel knows what everybody's making. But I was told that 3/4 of the efforts, which certainly some of that is money, it was just going to keeping players. Now, you say, well, they lost 15 guys. They lost Squirrel White. Squirrel has a baby. He needed to make the money. He got a number that I was told there was no point in having a discussion. And I've been in that situation once before when I was working for the Sentinel and freelancing for the Sports Animal. And I had to do one because I was working way too much. And I went in and I just asked for a lot of money. And they just came back to me and they said, well, sorry, we're not even close enough to negotiate. I said, that's fine. I'll just go work for the Sentinel. And then we started the new Sentinel Sports page 6 months later. But what do you think of that? And first of all, if you want to call BS on this reporting, I'm comfortable with that. If you think somebody had an agenda and wanted to feed me a line, it was a very casual conversation. I don't believe that's the case, but you can call BS, but it certainly looks that way. It doesn't look like he was trying to lead me at all. But Tennessee's transfer portal success or lack thereof, I believe, mainly because they want to keep the players they had. And they had to get them sewn up. They weren't expecting Nico and Mike Matthews to come ask for a big bag of money. So that made things hard. So then you didn't know how much you could offer other people. That's the bad part about it. Like, sure, keep your own people, get that done 3 days after the season, and know what you can offer other players. So that was a concern to me, and I hope Nico realizes, and Mike Matthews to some extent, that the more money they take, and once you're financially independent, which is, it used to be for me when I was your age, $1 million, you invest it right, you're financially independent. That probably doesn't get you there nowadays at their age. But I'll say this, if you got $5 million in the bank and you're griping over $6 million when they could use one of those millions to get one of those kids out of Southern California or somebody else, you're absolutely selfish. I understand everybody's got to get theirs. Everybody's got to get theirs, but I'm not going to get into specifics, but Caleb, I believe, based off my overall budget, is pretty well taken care of. And I don't go to him and say, I got to make more money, so you make less, and we'll renegotiate his contract, I guess, next year. But he doesn't come to me and holding my feet to the fire and say, you got to pay me more. So, I mean, a lot of this to me, the thing that's so frustrating about it is there's just nothing in place by the NCAA, the SEC, or whoever. That's the troubling part to me. Thoughts?
Okay, so a few things on this. I agree you're absolutely selfish. And also, you're short-sighted because you could be derailing your draft stock, because a lot of your draft stock can be impacted by the type of help you have around you in college.
Can I stop you for a second?
Yeah.
What we need to say is what we're thinking. We just need to come out and say it. Guys like Nico and Mike Matthews are selfish. Now,
yes,
let's take Sham Umarov, who took a big step. If he went from 400, I'm making up numbers, I don't know. If he went to the coaches and said, it's obvious I'm going to be a contributor, you saw it enough on the field, I'm making 400,000, can you get that up to 800,000? Well, I have no problem with that because he's not financially independent.
And that's a gigantic difference from like 2 to 2.5 million.
Right. You're absolutely right. So at the end of the day, I believe Nico and Mike Matthews in particular, and I'm sure there were others, but I can't think of who they would be that are of that superstar status that haven't moved on. But I think those two guys were selfish in their offseason demands, period.
Okay, so I agree. Now let's put this point out there. This is where it's even more selfish than the NFL. For those who don't know, and I want to make this clear to you guys, every single case of NFL players holding out for more money is at the request of the players union. I think you know that, Dave, right? Like the players union has been very clear. They don't want you to play for a cent less than what your market value is. Because if you take a pay cut, then in the next round of collective bargaining negotiations, you give the owners leverage to say we should not have to pay you this much or guarantee this much for the players. So what I want to point this out now. What a lot of people don't understand about the NFL, every single player that is being as greedy as possible for the money, they're doing that at the behest of the players union, because it's not about them at that point. It is about the lower level offensive linemen. That's why Aaron Rodgers demanded $15 million a few years ago. I don't know where you come on that, David. I feel like, don't you agree that like when NFL players ask for more money, there's a greater cause than just them getting money?
I don't know.
It's about the players union is what they're thinking about.
I think it depends who you're talking about. I mean, I think there are some guys that want that big last payday, and there are other guys like Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes have taken less money. So
Patrick hasn't. Patrick has signed a big contract.
It's backloaded. I mean,
well, Patrick signed a big contract. Yeah, but Patrick signed a huge contract, and then the market went up after he signed that contract. Tom Brady,
you worked with him because it's very, very backloaded.
Right. But Tom Brady, you're right, took less money, and a lot of people didn't like that Tom Brady was taking less money. A lot of people had a problem with that for years because they felt Tom Brady was undercutting the players union to try to win in their negotiations with the owners. And so I think that's a big problem. Now, to the point of Nico, Mike Matthews, everything like that, look, I do kind of believe Tennessee is focused more on building with high school talent. They haven't been able to do it to this point. I think there's a strong possibility just recruiting was suffering because of what Josh Heupel inherited, and he's finally got it to a certain level. Finally. I think Josh Heupel may consider his first 2 recruiting classes borderline throwaways of just getting bodies. And he's finally able to get guys that he's able to plug in and start to develop, which is why it's taken so long maybe for an offensive lineman out of high school to start on Tennessee, as Cooper Mays thinks will happen later this year. The Michigan model is the model going forward for a lot of teams. Let's talk about it. Notre Dame's in the national title game. They probably spent most of their NIL money on keeping their players. They didn't make splashes in the portal last year.
No, you're right.
Michigan just won the national title. They didn't make any splashes in the portal. The model for a lot of teams.
So is Tennessee falling in line? Because football's a copycat game. Is Tennessee falling in line with what Michigan did 2 seasons ago?
Yes. And Josh Pate has reported this on his show. He told us, he said last summer that Tennessee was the first school to embrace NIL. But when they did it, they, like, apparently Danny White, they hired a bunch of people and they thought A, B, C, D, E, F, not just A. Tennessee is handling NIL the way Nick Saban game plans, which is, as you know, Dave, Nick Saban plans for every single possible scenario that you could ever think of in football when he game plans. And Tennessee apparently has reportedly thought of every possible scenario that NIL would lead to. They have now determined that in an era of players moving around, provided you have a base level of talent, chemistry can start to outweigh raw talent, which we saw with Ole Miss, by the way. Ole Miss was good enough to beat any team in college football this year, but they were not mature enough to beat Georgia and maintain their momentum enough to beat Florida 2 weeks later, because they didn't have any chemistry. And so I think, and by the way, we've talked about this before. The 98 team, while super talented, I mean, I don't want to dismiss how talented they were. Probably not the most talented team Fulmer had, right? Maybe the 4th most talented team Fulmer had, something like that.
I'd say somewhere in there, yeah.
Won the national title because of their chemistry. Very mature football team that team was. And I think they're starting in this day and age with football, with the talent being scattered and no Alabamas or Georgias anymore that can go like 7 deep with their rosters. I think the chemistry is going to outweigh it. I think Tennessee sees that. It jives with me thinking they're ahead of the curve, because I think that's an ahead of the curve way to think. And yes, so I think they're following the Michigan model. Pure and simple.
I'm going to take it a step further. Bank on it. Tennessee is doing exactly what they want to in recruiting. Now, I'm not saying it's going to work, but bank on it. Tennessee's focus is about keeping players at Tennessee and not having them.
Commercial Bank is your neighborhood bank. What makes us different from other banks? We understand that every customer has unique opportunities, challenges, and financial concerns. We don't expect you to fit into the same box as the next person or business. Whether it's purchasing a home, saving for your child's future, or planning for your next vacation, we're with you every step of the way to navigate life's big decisions.
All right, welcome back. Let's bank on it. Brought to you by Commercial Bank, member FDIC. They are absolutely fantastic. Love them. Also want to thank our friends at Work Trucks. All about trucks. Work Trucks, they're, actually available. They help you maximize your profits by having the right work vehicle. That seems pretty simple. Time is money. The perfect work vehicle doesn't break down, has all the space to handle whatever you need. That's Work Trucks, intent on offering things that other dealerships just can't. Contract is about time. Work Trucks saves you time with less back and forth trips and trucks that pass the highest standards to be put to work. The process quick and easy when choosing a vehicle for Work Trucks. Cargo vans, utility body trucks with an app-pod work bodies installed, pickup trucks of all sizes, and anything special like cranes or dump trucks. Work Trucks supplies vehicles to people just like you and get you back on the road tomorrow. No dealership runaround. If you're a contractor, you need to know Work Trucks. That's a fact. Remember, Work Trucks carries the trucks that your business has to have. You need Work Trucks. Clinton Highway in Knoxville, downtown Birmingham. Get the truck, get it fit to a T. Boom, you're all set. WorkTrucksLLC.com. WorkTrucksLLC.com. All right, we did this day in Tennessee sports history. I want to get...
Sorry, I just wanted to stick on your bank on it real quick. So you think Tennessee and Josh Heupel are not unhappy at all with the way their portal work has gone.
Well, I'm sure there's one or two guys that they would like to have.
Well, like, I don't mean like nobody's ever perfectly satisfied, but like, I mean, you think the big picture macro scale, it's gone according to plan.
Yeah. When you say macro, that makes me think his whole career.
No, I mean like macro. Like when I say macro, I mean like not every micro moment has gone to plan. Like they maybe lost out on a player that they wanted, but I mean a macro scale. Like, okay, you expect to lose some players that you wanted. You expect to get some player. Put on a macro scale. I'm just saying, general, overall, things have gone to plan.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, what did they need to do initially? They needed to just survive. Okay. They did that because it was a dumpster fire. Then what did they need to do? They needed a splash get in recruiting. They got that with Nico. I was a little surprised that Nico didn't recruit as much for Tennessee as I thought a 5-star quarterback would, but nevertheless. And now they feel like their talent level is up. So the last thing they want is to lose key players. And I don't think of the 15 players, and I looked at them over the weekend, the only one that stood out to me as significant was Squirrel White. That was it.
Yeah, no, I agree. And also, again, with Amari Jefferson, with Braylon Staley still on the roster, and with their plans to use Boo Carter on offense, I don't think Squirrel White's going to be as much of a loss as people think.
They don't either. Caleb Webb, he left as well. Chaz Nimrod, receiver. Nathan Leacock, tight end. Nate Spillman, Gaston Moore, Caleb Perry, Holden Stays, Jason Jenkins. So of those three, or of that listing, I want to ask you about three guys in particular. It is 4 downs, and it's brought to you by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorney, banksandjones.com.
Come on, guys, it's game time.
4 downs. Can you count? 4 downs. 1, 2, 3, 4. The Dave Hooker Show with Caleb Calhoun. Represented by T. Scott Jones. Banksandjones.com. Tennessee's trial attorney. From the Ted Russell Ford Lincoln Studio, East Tennessee's #1 volume and customer service dealer. Ted Russell Ford and TedRussellLincoln.com. Now to the Dave Hooker Show on Off the Hook Sports.
All right, I don't have all my drops in here, so we're going to have to do this without Cooper saying, Cooper Mays here, first down. But I'll do it. Cooper Mays here, first down. All right. Is Squirrel White the most significant player they lost?
Yeah, I'll go with that. They don't have a ton of depth in the slot, so I'll probably say yeah. Squirrel White's probably their most significant loss.
Yeah, and he's proven. The rest of these guys aren't. All right. For the most part. A couple of other guys I want to ask about. So pull up the list again. My goodness. All right. It's been one of those mornings already. All right. Chaz Nimrod.
No, I don't think Nimrod's that big.
No, I'm sure they can find a slow receiver with bad hands somewhere else. Nathan Leacock. I never understood. By the way, Chaz was second down. This is third down. I never understood the infatuation among the fan base with Nathan Leacock. When I watched him, I never saw a great explosion or anything else. So he's third down. How big of a loss is that?
I think people fell in love with his recruiting prowess. He was a 4-star across the board, but yeah, I don't think it's a big loss either. Never could get on the field or into the rotation.
I'll give you the one that I think is a significant loss. Hang tight. We're going to go. I'm going to tell you this brought to you by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorney, banksandjones.com, and we'll discuss a significant loss that maybe we're overlooking.
Why Banks & Jones? Well, it's because they're Tennessee's trial attorney. You can play to win with Banks & Jones because they'll go to trial. You've heard of other lawyers. They say they'll go to trial and fight for you. They won't. They just want to settle. That's the easiest way out. Well, that's not Banks & Jones, led by T. Scott Jones. They won't settle. They'll go to trial for you. Tennessee's trial attorney. They play to win. Truly, Tennessee's trial attorney when it comes to criminal defense or personal injury. Why settle? It's Banks & Jones. T. Scott Jones.
All right, Caleb. So the one that I think is significant is Holden Stays. That'll be 4th down. I do think that's significant because it's harder to play 12 personnel, as they mentioned to us last year, unless you have 3 tight ends, because if you lose one, it makes it more difficult to run tempo because you've got to have 2 tight ends rotating, ideally like they had Princeton Fant and Jacob Warren in 2022. So I do believe he's a significant loss. I don't think he's a great tight end, but he filled a void that the Vols had and now have.
Yeah, but Holden Stays expected to be the number 1 tight end, and he wasn't because he lost the job to Miles Kitselman. I don't think he's that big of a loss because they have Ethan Davis and Miles Kitselman, plus they're adding 2 tight ends, Jack Van Dorslier and Deshaun Brame, both coming out of high school in this recruiting class. So they'll be 4 deep. They'll be fine.
Caleb, how many times have we said this guy's going to have an impact in year 1, especially at a skill position? Tight end's half a skill position, and they haven't. So, I mean, if they go into it just feeling comfortable with 2 tight ends, Kitselman and Davis, then they've made a misstep. And you've got to have another guy that you're ready for. Because if they have to dial it down to that 12 personnel again, and you better be ready for that. I mean, I think you've got to have 2 tight ends for that. Excited.
They will, though. They're going to be fine. Ethan Davis can do everything Holden Stays can do. Plus, they're going to add 2 more. They're going to be fine.
3.
They're going to have 4. They add 2 tight ends in this recruiting class.
I mean, you have much more faith that a player is going to show up and have an impact on offense in year number 1 than I do.
I don't think there's anything they could do to have less of an impact than Stays. So,
okay, all right. I just know that Stays got on the field early, so they felt good about him. Want to share something you got to know. Ted Russell Ford Lincoln is unbelievable. Your home for the finest vehicles in Knoxville, new and used. I'm kind of picky. I'm going to go down there and look with my son today, but I know I want a Bronco, and they've given me all kinds of options, and I want them all. They're fantastic. And Ted Russell Ford Lincoln on Kingston Pike and Parkside Drive. If you want to stop at lot after lot after lot and waste precious time, you can. I don't know why you would do that, because Ted Russell Ford Lincoln has perfected the buying process. After all, they're East Tennessee's number 1 volume dealer. They love partnering with local businesses, sending someone home with their first car. They love all that. They perfected the buying process. Ted Russell Ford Lincoln, the exclusive vehicle provider and studio sponsor of Off the Hook Sports. Coming up next on the program, we're going to have a stat of the day. And Caleb said this one is just incredibly awesome. So we'll get to that. Also, the basketball Vols. I got a problem. It's a significant problem. And we're also going to talk here in just a moment about Tennessee's newest commitment. I'll give you a little bit of insight into the Star. That's a great name, isn't it? Here, I'm saddled with Hooker, and that guy's got Star. Stay tuned. The show represented by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorney, banksandjones.com. The show broadcasting live from our great friends at Ted Russell Ford Lincoln Studios. I'm going to go forward, but I'm going to look at the Lincolns before I decide. Hang tight. More after this. Off the Hook Sports.
Well, Ted, looks like you're settling right into your new space.
Affirmative. Powered by the new Ford Lightning.
You know, that would be incredible for camping, tailgating. The options are unlimited. Why don't you take a little power for yourself, buddy?
Beep, boop, beep, bop.
Get into this new 2024 Ford F-150 Power Boost for only $53,300, or get 0% for 72 months on a Ford F-150 Lightning. Come see us today at either Ted Russell Ford location, Parkside Drive, or Kingston Pike, or online at tedrussellford.net.
Sports Treasures in North Knoxville is one of the South's largest sports cards and memorabilia dealers, featuring over 10 million sports cards from vintage to modern. Sports Treasures carries a full line of hobby boxes, singles, autographed memorabilia, Tennessee Vol collectibles, fan cave decorations, and so much more. See a museum full of collectibles at Sports Treasures, 4819 North Broadway in Fountain City, and Sports Treasures on Facebook. Sports Treasures, where the real sports fan goes to shop.
Community banking is about location and much more. It's about family. We reside in your community. We are a part of your community. At Commercial Bank, our commitment extends beyond the walls of our branches. It's displayed each day in the opportunities we provide, the money we give back, and the time we commit, all to help improve the lives of the people, families, and businesses that make our communities great. Commercial Bank. Life made better.
Double D Piping provides full-service fire protection on any scale. From residential homes to government facilities, we can assist any customer through design, fabrication, installation, inspection, and demonstration of fire suppression systems. With 30 years of service across 5 states and a full staff with over 40 years experience, our quality can't be beat. Don't get caught watching what you could have prevented. Call Double D Piping, the absolute best in fire prevention.
With our brand new location on Emory Road, Eye Care Optical is bringing East Tennessee's best eye care to your neighborhood. Doctors Johnston and Combs offer unmatched expertise and care without a trip to Knoxville. Eye Care Optical, now in Powell.
Are you ready to get strong? At NFC, we offer top-notch weight training and functional fitness, so you can build strength and improve your performance. Join today at nfc1.com or stop by any one of our 7 East Tennessee locations.
But this one is the most important.
This is not government work. As such, I treat it with care and attention.
Until someone else calls. The Dave Hooker Show with Caleb Calhoun. Represented by T. Scott Jones. BanksandJones.com. Tennessee's trial attorney. From the Ted Russell Ford Lincoln Studio, East Tennessee's #1 volume and customer service dealer. Ted Russell Ford and TedRussellLincoln.com. Now to the Dave Hooker Show on Off the Hook Sports.
Welcome back. The show represented by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorney, BanksandJones.com, as we broadcast live from the Ted Russell Ford Lincoln Studios. And we've got a lot to get to. Caleb, just tell me what you want me to do here. I went to 4 downs and Caleb's mad at me. See, Caleb's like, come on, Dave. You're going to have to start rationing stuff. Not a rationing guy. Okay. Hit like and subscribe. We would greatly appreciate that. Caleb, scale of 1 to 10. How big was a pickup of Duke transfer running back Star Thomas?
Ooh, 1 to 10. I'm going to say probably. Wow, that's tough now. Now you're really making it tough on me. I'll probably say a 6. I mean, I think he's a good pickup. I really do think he's a good pickup. I think he's going to be a nice change of pace with Peyton Lewis. But I think he's a 6 because he's a body more than anything else. But I mean, the guy only averaged 4 yards a carry in ACC play this past year. Now, there's a lot of issues with yards per carry with running backs, you know, the scheme, the quality of the quarterback, when runs are properly called. There's a lot going on, but I still think he's a good pickup because I think they want to go more back to a somewhat by committee system next year, where even if Peyton Lewis is the feature back, they want to change the pace with somebody, and I think Star Thomas can be that. Because guys, I'm just sorry, Deshaun Bishop has a ceiling. He has a very clear ceiling.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 4.5. I mean, the skill position players that transfer in usually don't play in year number 1. I don't think he's an incredible talent. He's bounced around a lot. Went to JUCO too. Just doesn't. I don't know. I wouldn't have had a party unless I was in Star's family. I mean, I'm not knocking him. I just don't think it's a monster pickup. And let's be honest, Tennessee has one really significant pickup, and that's Amari Jefferson. And why is he significant, Caleb?
2. They have 2. Wendell Mo's pretty
significant. I'm not done. Why is Amari Jefferson significant?
Because he's from Chattanooga and he fills a receiver void?
Yeah, but technically, and I had to go back and look at this because I saw somebody else write this, and it made me wonder. He's a 4-star transfer prospect, but he was a 3-star. He's a 3. I'm sorry. He was a 4-star as a prospect, but he was a 3-star as a transfer. So maybe we're to the point where everybody gets excited about 3 stars. I love Amari. I hope he starts working with us. I think he's going to be really good. But that, along with Wendell Mo, a 3-star offensive guard, that's not That's not a lot. That's not a lot to get excited about, which goes back to our earlier conversation that Tennessee wants to keep people in house. But yeah, I mean, the star pickup it's great, it's fine, but I don't know.
Of the three, he's the least appealing to me. Wendell Moe, I mean, you can say what you want, but I mean, Wendell Moe was all Pac-12 in 2023 as an offensive guard. And then he played for a totally new system last year, so it could have caused some issues. Now, Star Thomas also played. He transferred to Duke, and he also played in a new system last year because Duke obviously lost Mike Elko to Texas A&M. They replaced him with Manny Diaz, who, had Jonathan Brewer as his offensive coordinator. Before that, Star Thomas was New Mexico State. Was at New Mexico State. Now, here's the funny thing about Star Thomas, Dave, and you can tell me if we should throw this out the window once their college careers come into play. But I am one who values some of your high school resume. And Star Thomas was all-state in Louisiana as a running back coming out. And you know how we both feel about Louisiana recruits. That is a football-rich on the level of Florida, Texas, and California, not even near the size of those three states, honestly. I don't know. Something about that stands out. But again, Tennessee just lost Jordan Matthews to the transfer portal out of Louisiana, so we'll have to see. But I think more than anything, this is a change of pace guy for Peyton Lewis.
Yep. Let's face it, too. As bad or maybe by choice Tennessee has been, or as unproductive as Tennessee has been, let's put it that way, in the transfer portal, I worry, too, that they may have overpaid for him because they had a little bit of money sitting around. They felt like they needed another running back. The whole thing to me was – it also flew under the radar a little bit. I mean, it took a few hours before everybody knew it. And obviously, if it had been a monster recruit, everybody would have known it immediately with Tennessee's fan base.
Right. No, I totally agree. I think this is – let's call it what it is. This is about – and you can do this nowadays. You couldn't do this back in the day. This is about having a body. Sometimes you need a body to fill a void, and Star Thomas is a body. I think that's kind of where this is. I don't think that they're going to use him that much, but guys, I think he will be used more than Deshaun Bishop. I mean, I keep having to insist this. Deshaun Bishop is just when he was put in to spell Dylan Sampson back when Peyton Lewis was hurt, and by the way, Peyton Lewis was never really picked things up the whole year because of his early injury.
I actually disagree with that statement. I don't think that Tennessee's coaching staff likes to play young players. I think he was ready to go from the get.
Well, that's ridiculous if they were playing Bishop over Peyton Lewis, because the thing is, Bishop.
I'm not arguing with you.
Yeah, people only saw him run, but Dave, you saw this. This wasn't like laziness or missing blocks. He was too small to pick up blitzes.
Yeah,
and to pass block. I mean, and that was a major, major problem. He couldn't pick up blitz. He picked them up, but he wasn't physical enough to maintain his pass blocks. And that caused issues throughout the season when he came in for a change of pace. So, and you saw it again when Dylan Sampson went down against Ohio State. Tennessee had Peyton Lewis come in. Tennessee had Deshaun Bishop as their change of pace. And honestly, I look at that and I go, to be fair, yeah, Star Johnson is a guy that they're going to need, that they'll probably need as a change of pace on that. And he does have experience as a returner. So I think largely he's a pickup as a body and as a by committee back. But I guess we could play the game of Wendell Moe, Amari Jefferson, Star Thomas. You want to just rank? I'll let you go first. Why don't you rank them on value?
All right, I'll do it. It's brought to you by Double D Piping.
Double D Piping provides full-service fire protection on any scale. From residential homes to government facilities, we can assist any customer through design, fabrication, installation, inspection, and demonstration of fire suppression systems. With 30 years of service across 5 states and a full staff with over 40 years experience, our quality can't be beaten. Don't get caught watching what you could have prevented. Call Double D Piping.
I would go Mo, Jefferson, and Star in that order. Does that surprise you? I put Mo above Jefferson.
It does, even though I would put him above Jefferson. But I would too. I mean, Wendell Moe, he's going to start immediately. I think Amari Jefferson is going to compete for a starting job.
But
truth of the matter is,
your guys don't ever win that competition.
That's true. And then Star Thomas, guys, is not going to start. So Travis is throwing a bet on us, Dave. $20 that Bishop starts over Lewis in 2025. Travis, I will give you 10-1 odds on that bet.
Heard it here.
Injuries notwithstanding. I don't have a gambling problem, but I'll give you 10-1 odds. I'll give you 2. If Peyton Lewis is not hurt, Dave, come on. Peyton Lewis to Sean Bishop.
I agree with you, but I'm not going to give 10-1 odds on anything.
Would you give him 3-1 odds?
I work too hard for my money. I'd probably go 3-1. I feel like I'd be able to take Travis's cash pretty easy there. Hemp House, the premier hemp dispensary online with a wide variety, great selection, and strict standards. Use the promo code HOOK for 10% off. HOOK for 10% off. It's right down below. HempHouseChatWith2Ts.com. HempHouseChatWith2Ts.com. Also want to thank our friends, Hound Dogs of Knoxville. So I know some of you are a member of Hooker's Corner. We're switching that up. So don't pay for it now. So go ahead and you can cancel it if you want. But we're going to switch that up, and we're going to have weekly gift certificates and a book and a grand prize brought to you by Sports Treasures. So we're going to have a ton of stuff that we're going to give away every week. And all you have to do, again, if you want to go, I haven't shut the Patreon page down, the Hooker's Corner. All you have to do is join this channel. And that's all you got to do. I think it's $5. And then at the end of every week, we'll have at least a gift certificate to Hound Dogs. And we'll have a T-shirt or book, your choice. And then once a month, and the end of this month, I promise we're going to give away this John Henderson autographed helmet that is right behind me because it's been too long. And I've been teasing that thing. But let's just say my life's been kind of crazy lately.
All of a sudden, that John Henderson helmet is looking real good with him being a College Football Hall of Famer later this year.
Juices it up. So go ahead and
Dave doesn't think he belongs. I'm kidding. I'm joking with Dave on that.
Nah, we don't have time to go down that road. I think you're higher on John Henderson than I am. But
yeah, I'm not that high on. I'm not high on. I'm too high on a two-time All-American who won the Outland Trophy, who was an NFL Pro Bowler.
Okay, that's fair. Pro Bowler doesn't mean anything. All Pro,
multi-time Pro Bowler.
It doesn't mean anything because 1,500 people could turn the thing down. Joe Newbert Collision Center. I got to go there this afternoon. Had a little ding on my vehicle. For nearly 50 years, Newbert Collision Center has been East Tennessee's best choice for quality repair work and fantastic customer service. So I called and said, this is when I'm going to bring it in. And they said, okay, bring it in. I said, can you take a look at it? Because it's still drivable. And they said, absolutely. How long will it take to look it over? They said, basically 15 minutes. So that is pretty incredible. We certainly appreciate all that Joe Newbert Collision Center does for us. All right. We done stat of the day yet, Caleb?
We have not.
Stat of the day. What do you got?
I'm just going to do this in honor of MLK Day because it is MLK Day. And there's the four groundbreaking civil rights movements for Tennessee. And they had the very first, and I don't know if you guys know this, they had the very first black starter in the SEC in Lester McLean. They had the first black captain in the SEC in Jackie Walker. They had the first black quarterback in the SEC in Condrich Holloway. They had the first black coach in the SEC period of any sport in Wade Houston. That's probably not the best representative for the first black coach in the SEC, but and then they had the first black quarterback to win a national title from the SEC.
All right. And one of all those names, one of them, just one, was to my knowledge the first cross-dresser that they ever had in Tennessee athletics. Peacock V Hydration in South Knoxville and Sevierville. Live your life to the fullest. Hydrate, rejuvenate, elevate your health with Peacock V Hydration. That's peacockvhydration.com. Do you know who I'm talking about, by the way?
Are you talking about Wade Houston?
No.
Oh, sorry.
Don't give it away if you know it. Just answer the question. No, I don't want to give it away, but it was Wade Houston. National Fitness Center, unmatched value, limitless options. I'm going to lift tomorrow. My shoulder's back in joint, which is cool. So you can begin your fitness journey today. NFC1.com, NFC1.com. All right, Caleb. Lady Vols fall to Vanderbilt. Men fall as well. Let's jump onto that after 2 minutes from our very special sponsors. Support our sponsors. That's why everything's free, and that's why we're here. The show represented by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorney, banksandjones.com, as we broadcast live from the Ted Russell Ford Lincoln Studios, East Tennessee's #1 volume dealer. Off the Hook Sports.
Hey, Ted, it's time to save some cash during New Year's Dash.
Savings is my prime directive. Let's see what you got, Nick.
Right now, you can save up to $10,000 on new Ford F-150s. Beat that, Ted.
Most impressive, but how about 0% for 72 months on Ford Lightning or Ford Mustang Mach-E?
Ted Russell Ford has huge savings on whatever you're looking for.
This checks out.
Come see us today at either Ted Russell Ford location, Parkside Drive, or Kingston Pike, or online at tedrussellford.net.
Now in its 45th year, the second and third generations continue Joe Newbert's commitment.
His vision of what this business needed to be, we still try to live up to that.
Joe Newbert Collision Center.
Having been in the jewelry industry for a long time in the Knoxville community, I saw a need for a jeweler, a real jeweler.
Our ability to do these designs has really been based on the customers bringing new things in and challenging us as a store. Our goal is not to tell anybody what they want. Our goal is to listen to what they want and then help them get there.
Schedule your consultation today to get your special someone the perfect custom gift just in time for the holidays.
Hi, Mike Davis here with City Heating and Air, reminding you to always dare to compare. Our team provides quality local heating and air service, installation, and maintenance across East Tennessee. We use only the best equipment like American Standard heating and air conditioning for your residential, new construction, or commercial needs. Honesty, dependability, and customer satisfaction have been the cornerstones of our business since 1961. City Heat and Air.
Dare to compare.
Double D Piping provides full-service fire protection on any scale. From residential homes to government facilities, we can assist any customer through design, fabrication, installation, inspection, and demonstration of fire suppression systems. With 30 years of service across 5 states and a full staff with over 40 years experience, our quality can't be beaten. Don't get caught watching what you could have prevented. Call Double D Piping, the absolute best in fire prevention.
Hot or cold? Brought to you by City Heating and Air Conditioning. Exclusively on the Dave Hooker Show with Caleb Calhoun on Off the Hook Sports.
Welcome back. He's Caleb Calhoun. I'm Dave Hooker. All right. So I'm now, it takes me a while because I'm trying to keep track of recruiting for you. And, you wrap up football and that's what I know you want to hear about the most. So that's what we're going to focus on. So Caleb's done a great job of keeping up with basketball early on, but I'm full in now. And I think Tennessee has a core problem that they're not going to be able to overcome. Chaz Lanier has a funky shot, and he has 2 shots, which is even more troubling. There are times when he gets it clean and he pushes it out in front of himself. Now, that might not burn him from a shot blocking perspective in college, but it's going to just destroy. He's going to get destroyed in the NBA if he shoots it like that. The other issue is that he sometimes does drop it back behind his head. And so that inconsistency makes you insecure about shooting. And what has he not been doing, Caleb?
Consistently shooting.
Thank you. I saw it early and I want to sit on it and rest on it. That's a problem. And it's time to just completely take off the Chaz Lanier is going to replace Dalton Connect. We need to go back to where you were, and that was a group, a collective effort has to replace Dalton Connect. It's not going to be one dude. It's not going to be Darling Stone. It's not going to be Igor, and it's not going to be Chaz. It's going to have to be the collection of them all.
Yes, it's going to have to be the collection. So Tennessee lost to Vanderbilt over the weekend, 76-75. And it was obviously a tough loss. Both basketball teams, men's and women's, lost by 1 point at Vanderbilt on separate days in ways that they shouldn't have been losing. So to start with Tennessee men, and we'll stick with that, they lose 76-75. A lot of things went wrong throughout the game. I mean, they let Vanderbilt build a 16-point lead because they made untimely mistakes. Zakai Ziegler got in foul trouble early. Tennessee got really outworked in the half-court game and in the paint. Dave, they shot 10 of 21 from three, 17 of 21 from the free throw line, and only had 11 turnovers. If you're Tennessee basketball, and Chaz Lanier was fine, 4 or 6 from three, if you're Tennessee basketball, that should be enough to win the game. In Rick Barnes' era, that's typically enough. The defense in the half-court game and in the paint was an issue, but they overcome it. They come back. And a lot of people came at me on Twitter over the weekend because I said Chaz Lanier choked. Well, guess what? He choked. And people are going to...
Did you mean... And we didn't have a chance to communicate. Very good call, though. Did you mean specifically just on the final free throw or throughout the game?
I mean the last two drives.
Okay.
The last two plays. Chaz Lanier, that play was designed for him. The play before, when he had the ball with a chance to go up for a layup to tie it. When you beat a guy off the dribble like that, Dave, it's on you to make the proper... to properly time when you're going to jump for the layup to make sure the shot doesn't get blocked. And it's on you to be aggressive and make sure you properly finish at the rim, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so for Chaz Lanier to let that shot get blocked, you can talk about it being a great defensive play, and it was. If you do what you're supposed to do to finish at the rim, your shot's not getting blocked. You're either getting fouled or you're finishing hard or you're getting an and one. So that was on him.
Now, I'm not a big use the word choke fan. That's fine. You can use it. And I think that you've got a strong argument for it because he also had he had a really bad missed shot from mid-range down the stretch that ended up turning into a three-pointer. He had another turnover that turned into a three-pointer. So,
and then most notably, just to point out at the end, he had a chance to hit a free throw to tie it up after he got the magic foul and he missed it. And that was his only missed free throw of the game. That's a choke job.
All right, so let me ask you this, just purely based off that game, not before. We're going to play Hot or Cold, brought to you by City Heating and Air Conditioning, and I'm going to start with coaching in that game. Brought to you by City Heating and Air Conditioning. It's Hot or Cold. Tennessee's coaching. Are you hot or cold on the Vols?
Hi, Mike Davis here with City Heating and Air, reminding you to always dare to compare. Our team provides quality local heating and air service, installation, and maintenance across East Tennessee. We use only the best equipment like American Standard Heating and Air Conditioning for your residential, new construction, or commercial needs. Honesty, dependability, and customer satisfaction have been the cornerstones of our business since 1961. City Heat and Air. There's your best.
Chaz Lanier, Hot or Cold, brought to you by City Heat and Air Conditioning.
Cold, because he's everything you still expect him to be, except your point of the shot, of the way he holds the ball trying to shoot. And me, I don't think he's clutch, and not being clutch is a big deal. So,
well,
cold on
I'm
that.
not going to say he's not clutch yet, but I will say this: missing a free throw like that can get in your head. So I've got to go cold on him, and I'm talking about compared to where we were the day before they played.
Yeah, it's funny you bring that up. The greatest example of that. Do you remember the 95 NBA Finals between the Magic and the Rockets where Nick Anderson missed 4 free throws?
Oh, I do, yeah.
Nick Anderson was like a 75-80% free throw shooter, and the rest of his career he was in the low 60s from the free throw line. Never recovered from that game. And so that's a good point. So you're right. I'm already cold on his lack of clutch gene, and now I'm not so sure that won't get in his head.
All right, so let's move on here. Darling Stone Dubar, hot or cold?
Ooh, Darling Stone Dubar.
I feel like the temperature should be set right at 70. I don't really have a strong feeling either way. So if you just want to say put her at 70, brought to you by City.
I think I'm going to go 70, but I'm gonna go not his fault because we'll get to the person at fault.
Okay. Igor Milichik, hot or cold?
Cold after last weekend. And you know what? People are gonna be like, oh, but he had 16 points. Dave, did you see the way Tennessee got worked in the paint by Vanderbilt's offense in the paint was just dominant. And that's because Igor Milichik was not effective. He's a stretch four. But part of the idea of being a stretch four is you can defend the three-point line and the post. He seems like he's only a perimeter player who's just tall.
Yep. All right. Now let me ask you about this one. Tennessee's coaching in that game.
So, okay, I'm cold. Let me qualify this. On the surface, on paper, there's nothing wrong with losing to Vanderbilt 76-75 at Memorial Gym. Anybody who knows that gym knows it's the most difficult gym to play in as a road team. And
by the way, what a bunch of losers that charge the court. You just beat Tennessee. I mean, I know they're good, but I don't know.
So there's that. But also, okay, but Vanderbilt winning, they're a good team, and you played them on the road. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm cold on coaching because I'm just going to say it. In typical Rick Barnes fashion, this Tennessee team, Dave, is starting to look tired because Rick Barnes is playing 6 guys 30 minutes. Off the bench, Dave, he played Cade Phillips 9 minutes, Darlington Dubar 7, and Bishop Boswell 2. Only one guy off the bench played double-digit minutes. Rick Barnes, once again, is using his starters way too much, and that's going to get them beat in March.
Yeah, I didn't like the final play call too. I would have gotten the ball to Igor. I felt like he was the best scoring option at that point. I thought you could have run a little pick, get it to him underneath the basket and do something there, but that's not what they chose to do.
That play was fine though. Chaz Lanier had the look. He was too soft going to the basket.
Yeah, but you just said Chaz Lanier's not clutch.
No, but okay, but like that's based on what I saw on Saturday. I don't know what level of evidence Rick Barnes had before then.
I kind of felt it.
I felt like Rick Barnes was trying to make Chaz Lanier more aggressive. And so I was nervous about it beforehand, but I couldn't definitively say not clutch. Didn't find other ways to score against Florida. Refused to take that shot Rick Barnes called for him against Texas. I think Rick Barnes was trying to get him to take that shot. And again, he had a look. That was a heck of a look. I can't blame Rick Barnes when the look is right there. What I'm blaming Rick Barnes for, again, is the number of minutes he's got guys logging. Dave, the reason Tennessee got outworked in the paint in this game, because people kept talking about they were losing in the paint, they're tired. They're tired.
Yeah.
And it's already showing. And I'm going to write a column. We're going to talk about this tomorrow. But look, I'm sorry. They should, in this era, in the SEC, in this year in the SEC, given the grind, load management may need to be a thing. But I'll talk about that more tomorrow because I got some really good data points for you, Dave.
I like it. Quality Tire Pros, serving Chattanooga's community since 1957. All major brands of tires, full service automotive, brakes, alignments, oil changes, and more. QualityTirePros.com. QualityTirePros.com. Tell Bo that Off the Hook Sports and Dave Hooker said hello. We would certainly appreciate you doing that. And we're going to talk a little Lady Vols. And then we're going to get to the college football championship game. It needs a name, doesn't it? Like a Super Bowl? How about a Mega Bowl? But instead, it's the college football playoff championship game or whatever they call it. Well, I feel like half of our viewers and listeners who are huge sports fans are not even aware that the game is tonight. And I would say that's for the entire community as well. But we'll get to that in a moment. Your thoughts on the Lady Vols also falling to Vanderbilt. And I just thought of something. The Big Ten, with the way they have to travel all the way across the country, they should set up the games where the men and women play the same weekend so that they can take the same plane. How's that for a good idea?
Sounds like a fun idea.
I thought this over the weekend. All right, but let's get back to something that matters. All right.
There would be some men's and women's teams somewhere where the Mile High Club would have a bunch of new members.
That reminds me of when Michelle Snow dated a football player named Pee Wee, and he was like 5'8", and she was what, 6'8", 6'9". It looked like it was they dated. It looked like it was like a joke. All right, what did you think about the Lady Vols and how they fell to Vanderbilt specifically?
So Tennessee, again, similar to the men, fell behind way too much early because Vanderbilt had an 11-point lead at halftime. They fought their way back. They took the lead in the end, and they had control of the game, but Vanderbilt was winning in the paint. And it's the half-court paint defense, which has been an issue for the Lady Vols throughout the year. And it shouldn't be, because that's the one thing Kim Caldwell recruited for. The thing she sacrificed was three-point shooting. She didn't sacrifice. So they did go 6 of 26 from three, which is an issue. They need to do better. But she sacrificed three-point shooting because she went for size and athleticism. With size and athleticism, you shouldn't get outworked in the paint the way they did at times. And that showed on the last play. Vanderbilt missed a potential game-winning shot, and then they score off an offensive rebound to win the game. But Kim Caldwell is becoming a soundbite for Tennessee. You ready for this, Dave? Can I play what she said after the game yesterday?
I'm absolutely ready.
This was her message after Tennessee lost. By the way, for you guys who don't know, they've lost 3 games by 4 points. Every single game has come down to a last-second shot. 2 were made that cost them. 1 was missed that they missed that could have won them the game. So this is what Kim Caldwell said on their close losses right here.
We can't continue to just do the same thing and have quarters where we don't show up, can get out rebounded when it matters, have plays where we take them off, effort plays. We show them every possession that costs us a game, and we're either not good enough to fix it or we're just...
I got to be honest with you. Every time she talks, I think, oh, my Lord, is she going into labor? I mean, I that's all I can think of, because she's supposed to, her due date's today.
What would Butch Jones have said with these close losses?
Well, Butch Jones may be a bitch, but he can't have a baby.
Oh, my gosh. Okay.
Too strong. Sorry.
Wow. No, it's okay. All right. Let's talk about this. Kim Caldwell is not, what you're very much seeing is she's not sitting there saying these losses are okay because of what we're building for the future, even though she has the #1 recruiting class coming in. She's taken this year as seriously as any year. And Dave, don't you love a coach who does that? Yeah. I mean, what's your, like, you've covered teams with first-year head coaches. Typically the media, and we're media members, we're always talking about, oh, this is about building for the future, things like that. But I think you would believe that the coach's job is to take that year as seriously as they take any year with their game planning, right?
Well, yeah, because here's how that goes south. Like, I've heard a lot of people say that, oh, just throw this guy in because he's a really good freshman and you get him experience because this team's no good. Well, no, because then your seniors will all revolt. I mean, they don't want their last year to be a complete disaster. So I never subscribed to that theory at all. So when I look at this Lady Vol basketball team, it feels like they're running what Kim Caldwell wants to run. But at the same time, I just don't think they're that physically gifted to be able to excel in whatever they run. I think they're good, but not great athletically.
See, I think they're great. I think they are good athletically. It's their shooting that's a problem, but that was okay because that's what she recruited for. I think what she's so frustrated is that they're taking quarters off and rebounding. And again, when she went in the offseason, Kim Caldwell, and I want to repeat this, when Kim Caldwell was at Marshall, when Kim Caldwell was at Glenville State, I think, in West Virginia, her philosophy was get a bunch of shooters. When she got to the SEC level, because her philosophy is up-tempo, run and gun, and when you get the ball up the court, you shoot it. When she got to the SEC level, the first question John Adams, our own, asked her was, do you think that can translate here because you need size and athleticism? And her quote was, I wouldn't be here if I didn't think it could. Kim Caldwell wasn't able to get the players she wanted, and she knew she wasn't going to be able to when she first took over at Tennessee. So what did she do? She said, I will need size and athleticism in the SEC. I can't just go out and get size, athleticism, and red-hot shooting my first year here. So she sacrificed the shooting. She said, let me go all for size and athleticism, and hopefully some of these players who were bad shooters will get good looks at times and will be good enough from three. That's been the case. That's happened. They've been good enough from three. They have off games like they did against Vanderbilt, but that's to be expected with the team she constructed. I think what's frustrating to her right now is that she didn't think that they would ever have issues in the half-court defensive game, and they're having those issues. And the question becomes, and I want to know what you think about this, Dave. You know, we can bring up back in the Bruce Pearl days. Do you think when you work so hard about on being up-tempo and controlled chaos, do you think are you sacrificing the time you should work and positioning for rebounds, basically, and playing half-court defense?
Well, I mean, you got to figure you've only got so many hours in the day, so you've got to figure out what's more important to your particular offensive attack. So, or defensive presence as well. So, I mean, I don't know that one's taking away from the other. That's her job. You know, I've sat through a lot of practices. I've sat through a lot of dumb ones with Jerry Green. I'm like, they didn't accomplish anything today. But they accomplish a lot of Rick Terry jewelry design. They want to be your jeweler looking for affordable game day jewelry, a Tennessee tradition. RickTerryJewelry.com. Again, RickTerryJewelry.com. It's almost Valentine's Day. Hint, hint. Which of these players are you most impressed with compared to what you thought coming into the season, Caleb?
Well, the big one for me, so I thought Jewel Spear would do what she do. She's second in scoring, and she is their reliable three-point shooter. The one who really stands out to me the most is Samara Spencer. She's fourth on the team in scoring at 11.6 points per game, but she's shooting 41.5% from three. And she was not a three-point shooter like that coming in. So I'm very impressed with her. Talasia Cooper is also very good. She's shooting only 29% from three, but she's averaging 18.5 points. But I would probably be the most pleasantly surprised, funny enough, with Samara Spencer because of that shot that she's really shown. And I didn't see that from her when she had committed to Tennessee. I think her best year before that, last year she was 26% from three. So to go from that to 41.5% from three, transferring from Arkansas to Tennessee, is honestly incredible. And she's the point guard, so she really does. This is exactly what you want out of your point guard in this system. Someone who distributes the ball well, who gets the offense rolling, who can push the tempo. But if you leave them open, they will drill you from three. You don't want your point guard being your primary scorer typically, but you want them to be a deadly weapon from three and reliable from the free throw line. I mean, that was what the most underrated thing that Bruce Pearl had when he first got to Tennessee was a veteran and CJ Watson running the point. I'm not so sure he makes the splash he makes if CJ Watson's not there that year.
Yeah, and CJ was not really happy with the Vols. Had it not been for Bruce Pearl, I don't think CJ would have necessarily had a long career in the NBA. He had a really solid career. For those that don't know, don't keep track of him. He had a really, really good career.
And didn't he have relations with Floyd Mayweather's girlfriend?
Not sure. I think Delonte West slept with somebody's
LeBron's
mom. Was it mom?
Yeah.
What's worse? What's worse? Somebody sleeps with your ex-wife or your mom?
Well, it depends on.
You're already split. You're already split, so it's an ex-wife thing.
I mean, at that point, it's the ex-wife. But at that point, it's the mom. But it depends on who's like. If your mom's, I'm not going here. I can't go into this. But no, this all happened because Conor McGregor, when he was getting ready to fight Floyd, wore a CJ Watson jersey when CJ Watson was in Golden State, and it was 32, which was Draymond Green's number. And Draymond Green was such a narcissist. Draymond Green's like, "Why are you wearing my jersey? I'm rolling with Floyd." And Connor's like, "I don't know who you are. This is about CJ Watson."
Kim Caldwell, by the way, somebody mentioned our message board. Does she get a bit of a pass because she's attractive? I don't think so.
What is she getting a pass for?
I want to see what Caleb has to say. Caleb's in an interrupting Monday mood.
Hey, Ted, it's time to save some cash to our New Year's Dash.
Savings is my prime directive. Let's see what you got, Nick.
Right now, you can save up to $10,000 on new Ford F-150s. Beat that, Ted.
Most impressive, but how about 0% for 72 months on Ford Lightning or Ford Mustang Mach-E?
Ted Russell Ford has huge savings on whatever you're looking for.
This checks out.
Come see us today at either Ted Russell Ford location, Parkside Drive, or Kingston Pike.
All right, so does Kim Caldwell get any sort of pass because she's attractive? I'm not throwing that out there. You did on the message board. I don't think so.
What pass does she need?
I don't
Her
know.
first year with the Lady Vols, they're in the top 25.
Well, but I'll say this.
And she's got the #1 recruiting class coming in next year.
Yeah. I mean, she doesn't need a pass, but okay, is she given more? Are the powers that be more patient because she's attractive?
Patient with what? The question
No, I'm
is,
saying
will
if she
they be more
struggles.
patient?
If she struggles.
I don't think so. I mean, I didn't think Kelly Harper was unattractive, really. So, it's. I don't think that's.
Let's play hot or not real quick. Start with Pat. No, we're not going to do that. But I will tell you this. I think all good-looking people get a certain advantage. I think if it was like 50-50, that just subconsciously, I don't think you think, oh, she's pretty. Let's do that. I think all good-looking people get.
Do you think Reggie Bush's looks are why he became the 3rd pick in the NFL draft? Because he was a very attractive guy.
He was a very attractive. Oh,
sure. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know the difference. I know, like, if a guy's like a 10, like Brad Pitt, I can tell you that's a 10. If a guy's like, I don't know, the Elephant Man, I can tell you that's a 1.
But see, Reggie Bush is on the Brad Pitt level.
Sorry. 2 through 9 is like all to me. So no, to me, Bush is not a 10 and he's not a 1. So he's somewhere 2 to 9. I don't know. You put him where you want.
I thought he was on the Brad Pitt level, honestly. So,
oh, really?
Like, yeah, it's so, and I thought, yeah, I mean, he was the 2nd pick in the draft.
Yeah, that's true. Give me 1 second, and then Caleb's going to tell you why he's attracted to Reggie Bush. Stay tuned, Off the Sports. Dave Hooker here for Dynasty Pools and Spas, your home for the best spas and everything you need to jump right in. Relaxing, therapeutic, absolutely. But what sets Dynasty Pools and Spas apart from others is that you get everything with any spa purchase. You get the cover lift, the steps, delivery, and chemicals. When Dynasty Pools and Spas delivers your spa from their Athens location within 125 miles, you'll get your own personal hydrotherapy spa. Mention me, Dave Hooker, or Off the Hook Sports, and get $500 off your top quality new spa. Dynasty Pools and Spas, just off the Athens exit. Drop in and receive a free gift from Off the Hook Sports, Dynasty Pools and Spas. Mention Off the Hook Sports for a drop-in prize and that $500 discount, Dynasty Pools and Spas. To check out some of the Dynasty Spa models and to buy spa chemicals, go to dynastypoolsandspas.com. Caleb, you want to tell us why you think that Reggie Bush is so good looking?
I can kind of tell if someone's good looking or not, and like Reggie Bush is in that vein.
Right. New poll question going up as we talk some Lady Vols, and I don't think anything could be more pertinent than this, because I've got a friend who thinks that pregnant women are really hot. Me, after it gets about past month 1.5, maybe 2. I just like, let's put this, bedroom stuff on hiatus for a while. Pregnant women are hot, or let's just go not hot or not. Pregnant women. There we go. This
show is just groundbreaking with its feminism, guys.
Throwing heat. I don't know. Do you find that pregnant women attractive?
I don't find. Okay, put it this way: like, pregnancy didn't make me less attractive to my wife, but I never get the concept of like the aspects of pregnancy are hot. I'm like, no, sorry, those actual aspects themselves are not hot, guys. Sorry, I'm not.
The last ones. My wife had like some sort of mask over her face. She was, I'm not an animal.
Pregnancy is. You know what I told my wife, and I think she almost divorced me. But pregnancy is way harder on the man than the woman. Like, you're pregnant, but we have to hear about you being pregnant, and actually, like, you get to stop being pregnant. We never get to stop hearing about you being pregnant because you just keep talking about it the rest of your life.
All right. Poll question is on the YouTube page. What is it?
Poll question on the YouTube page is pulling it up right now. Pregnant women are hot. Not. It's 50-50.
Oh, wow. See? And I wonder if most people feel strongly about that, because I feel strongly about not.
How come we don't get a bed in the hospital room? Just saying.
I don't know. I don't know what you were doing, but I was sitting there writing a column.
Well, I'm just going to say
during labor. I remember Steve Ahern from the News Sentinel came by and he goes, "I didn't realize this was today. Did you write that column today?" I was like, "Yeah."
Well, just so you know, the man flu is way harder than childbirth.
Amen. Hey, guess what? I know you're not aware, but the college football championship game is tonight.
What the H?
Wow, I never worked hard on anything. What a cool life.
For real? The Dave Hooker Show with Caleb Calhoun. Represented by T. Scott Jones. BanksandJones.com. Tennessee's trial attorney. From the Ted Russell Ford Lincoln Studio, East Tennessee's #1 volume and customer service dealer. Ted Russell Ford and TedRussellLincoln.com. Now to the Dave Hooker Show on Off the Hook Sports.
Is the championship game tonight a dud before it's even played? Because you don't hear a lot of people talking about it. Caleb, what say you, sir?
Yes, it's a dud. It's a massive dud. And it's something I warned you guys about from the start. This expanded playoff has made this championship game anticlimactic for quite a few reasons. Not the least of which being, I don't know when college football thought they could soak up coverage during the NFL playoffs. I mean, like, we talk about football as king, and yes, it is. But NFL is king beyond college football, like, and runs laps around it, okay? And there was no way college football, as much as I love college football more than the NFL, and I'm sure Dave does too, it was never going to compete during the moments. So I think this was a total mistake by college football to do this expanded playoff and to drag it out. I mean, you have games every 2 weeks, not even every week.
Okay, so
yeah.
Okay, I want to get to that part, but I don't think it's a disaster at all. I just think where I live, and for those that don't know, Caleb lives in Maryland, so I want to get his thoughts on this. People are less interested because there's not an SEC team in it. I think it's as simple as that. I always tend to root for the SEC, no matter which team that is. But even if you don't, you would at least have some sort of rooting interest that they need to get beat because it helps you in recruiting or whatever. So I just think in my cocoon, people I run with, that's not a big deal just because there's not an SEC team in it. Now, I will say this to your point, the 2 weeks in between is just stupid. I mean, I don't think you and I want 16 necessarily, but why in the world wouldn't you take after the playoffs, you skip 1 week and then you 16, 8, 4, 2, 4 weeks in a row, bam, bam, bam. That'd be sweet. Then it doesn't leave our consciousness. Like the NFL playoffs never leaves your consciousness.
No, it doesn't.
And they've said I can remember the first time they started playing playoff games on Saturday, Caleb. And I thought that's pretty smart. Now they're playing on Monday night. It's always in your face. You can just there's times I've gotten a little confused and lost with the college football playoff.
Heck, even March Madness never leaves your consciousness when it's there because it's Thursday through Sunday, Saturday and Monday, like week. You're right. The NFL, I mean, the way college football did this, like, think about how they did this. The first round is December the 21st or whatever. Oh, look at that. Christmas is coming. So the games end, then you have Christmas, and then you have New Year's. So, like, you're not really thinking about it again until New Year's. Then New Year's comes, the New Year's games happen, and then right after New Year's is the final week of the NFL regular season. Everybody's paying attention to who's going to win to go to the playoffs. After that, then you've got the Friday and Saturday playoff games. One, a football game on a Friday night to me was just stupid, too. They did a Thursday night and a Friday night.
Worked out great for Dave. That's the night I slipped and separated my shoulder.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That was.
It's great. I literally walked back in the room or back in that house. I was going to see it with my buddy. There was 20 seconds left.
So let me ask you this. Because you say, I get it. Like, I feel like the interest died down somewhat because there's not an SEC team. There wasn't an SEC team in it last year, but everybody was kind of intrigued by the Michigan-Washington game. Everybody.
Okay. That's a great point because I can't. the Harbaugh story was interesting. Was he going to win a national title? I mean, that because he hadn't won a Super Bowl. He was in one. So I think that was a good storyline. I'm trying to think through this of why last year it didn't leave our consciousness, whereas this year it did.
Because
You're right.
it was
it wasn't drug. I think the bottom line is now I thought it through. It's just that it wasn't drug out as long.
Yeah, it wasn't drug out. I mean, look, guys, I've told you guys where I land on this. I'm not for a playoff. My argument from the whole time was college football should return to where it was in 1990, do all the old conferences, all the old bowl tie-ins, and then after the bowl games, you played one national title game between the top two teams. I thought that would have made it more fun because then, like, the bowls are all relevant. You don't know which games are going to matter. So I don't think this playoff was. I'm just going to say it, guys. I don't think a drawn-out playoff was ever going to be able to draw interest for college football the way people thought it would because of the timing of when it is. I just didn't think it was possible.
Well, I'm not going to buy the fact that, we got some people saying that it's the fan bases, like Ohio State's fan base, Notre Dame's fan base, whatever. But that, by the way, Notre Dame fans are awesome and generous. When you go to they'll give you anything they've got in their tailgate. So I don't know why you don't like Notre Dame fans. Ohio State's a completely different story. But let's get your thoughts. What happens tonight? Who you like? Keys to the game. Again, we're broadcasting live from the Ted Russell Ford Lincoln Studios, the show represented by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorney, banksandjones.com.
Hey, Ted, it's time to save some cash for our New Year's Bash.
Savings is my prime directive. Let's see what you got, Nick.
Right now, you can save up to $10,000 on new Ford F-150s. Beat that, Ted.
Most impressive, but how about 0% for 72 months on Ford Lightning or Ford Mustang Mach-E?
Ted Russell Ford has huge savings on whatever you're looking for.
This checks out.
Come see us today at either Ted Russell Ford location, Parkside Drive, or Kingston Pike.
All right. What are your thoughts on the game? Who wins tonight? I'll give you some of my thoughts, some keys that you want to keep an eye on after watching these teams extensively throughout the postseason. I didn't watch them as much during the season. I think the only game I saw of Notre Dame is the one they slipped up and lost. All right, go ahead, Caleb. What do you got? Go ahead and don't be ashamed of your gambling problem. If you
I think Ohio
State, throw it out there.
I think Ohio State's way more talented than Notre Dame. They are, but Notre Dame has game planned well every single week in this playoff, and I think Ohio State has. The reason I could see a Notre Dame upset is for this reason. Ohio State is on such a mission to just blow everybody out to make a point that sometimes that can catch up with you mentally in a weird way because they've done it. It kind of reminds me of, do you remember the Patriots in 2007 with Randy Moss? I think one of the reasons they lost to the Giants, Dave, is they were so focused on going undefeated and not just winning the Super Bowl that it kind of caught up with them, right? Yep. And then the Giants got them. I think both teams have a lot of chemistry. I think Notre Dame, I got Notre Dame covering this game. Put it that way. And
I think it's as simple as this. What's the most important down in football?
Third down?
Nope. It's always first.
Okay.
It changes your whole. If you can get 4 yards on first down, it changes everything. If you don't get anything, you have roughly a 30% chance of converting. If you lose any yardage, it drops to 20%. So I think really the key is first downs. And Notre Dame has got to get some yards on first down so they can hold on to the ball longer. I think you and I would agree that as far as explosiveness and talent, Ohio State's better. So Notre Dame has to play keep away. And that may mean this game's boring, but I don't think that they could go out there and win a shootout with Ohio State.
No, they can't win a shootout with Ohio State. They absolutely can't win a shootout with Ohio State. And so Ohio State's way too athletic. I'll say this. It's, I wonder if it gets close. Which coach do you think is more likely to make the dumb mistake late? Because I do think Marcus Freeman is more likely to make the dumb mistake late. But I'll say this for drama.
I think it's a coin flip.
it's a coin flip. I'll say this for drama purposes. I kind of want to see Notre Dame win because, man, that makes Brian Kelly look bad, doesn't it?
It does. The show represented by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorney, banksandjones.com, live from the Ted Russell Ford Lincoln Studios, East Tennessee's #1 volume dealer. I'm headed that way to check out a Bronco. Have a fantastic day, everyone. Off the Hook Sports.